Hi, I'm Tony Van Veen, CEO of Discmakers. This week I read an interesting article in Hypebot about fan tipping, fans tipping artists. And by the way, if you don't subscribe to Hypebot, I highly recommend that you do. It's a great way to stay in the know about the music industry and what's happening in a way that's relevant to independent artists. So, about tipping. I know many artists are resistant to the concept of tipping. So in today's video, I'm going to address the following topics. Should you ask for tips online or in real life? Where and how can you enable fan tipping? And what do you need to actually do to generate some tip revenues? So let's start with this question. Is tipping for you, or do you feel it is beneath you? Does asking for tips feel a bit like begging? Like some artists have told me, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with it. But is it like begging? Think about it, right? A tip is a monetary reward for a service well done. Whether you tip a waiter or a bellman or a bellwoman or an Uber driver, you are offering a reward for good service. So why would you as an artist not be comfortable enabling the opportunity for your fans to do the same for you, to tip you for a service well provided and supporting you in the process in your musical pursuits? Look, you don't need me to tell you that it's hard to make a living as an artist, right? Streaming and public performance royalties are tiny, and many concert opportunities for emerging artists nowadays don't pay enough to even cover your expenses, particularly with what gasoline costs today. So you need to be willing to grab every additional revenue opportunity that you can, no matter how modest it may seem, whether it's selling a few CDs or collecting some YouTube ad royalties or some publishing royalties from your streaming platform, and yes, maybe accepting tips from fans who love you. Why not try it? So let's talk about how to collect those tips. Tipping artists is actually nothing new. There's been talk about tipping and techniques for asking for tips and collecting tips for years, if not decades. But in the past, it was mostly about putting a literal tip jar on the edge of stage. Put some duct tape on it and write with a Sharpie tips, or putting it at your merch table. And that is something you can still do today if you're playing a venue that lends itself to that sort of thing. The cool thing is that nowadays, most of the big online platforms also allow some form of tipping. And this is a really, I think, great potential way to drive a bit of extra income when you're not performing live, or when you're not on tour, or when you're in between gigs. So check this out. A few months ago, in one of my videos, I talked about YouTube's Super Thanks feature, which they were betaing with a few select artists to let them accept tips on their YouTube fan profile. And YouTube just announced that they expanded that program to all artists who are able to actually monetize their channel. So if you can monetize your YouTube channel, it's worth checking out. You could just Google YouTube Super Thanks tipping and you will find all the information and instructions there. Spotify has had a fan tipping option since the start of the pandemic. I don't know if you knew that. I think it was like April of 2020. It used to be called Artist Fundraising, and they just renamed it Fan Support. And artists can receive tips through Cash App, PayPal, and a few other payment platforms. You can set this up through your Spotify artist profile. Bands in Town, the big concert calendaring platform, they also allow artists to add a support button to their profile, which allows your fans to either directly contribute to your crowdfunding campaign that you may be running or to a payment service like PayPal. And then there's everybody's favorite music website host Bandzoogle, which has a tip jar feature that its tens of thousands of artists can easily add to their web profile. And of course, you got Twitch, which at first was mostly a video gaming platform, but during the pandemic particularly, it rapidly evolved into a live streaming platform for musicians. And Twitch has been an amazing platform for monetization, allowing not just tips, but also selling physical merch and concert tickets easily from your profile. And even some of the big social networks like TikTok and Facebook have tipping functionality available. So for information on how to enable tipping on any of these sites, the easiest thing is go to the Google. All the information is findable there. And the cool thing is that it costs you nothing to give your fans the option to tip you on any of these sites. Now, if you put out those digital tip jars or the physical tip jar, will there actually be any tip dollars coming in? Well, not if you just put them up and don't do anything else. It's not that easy. I mean, like anything else with music, you have to ask people to do what you want them to do. In this case, you have to ask for them to leave you a tip if they enjoy what they're seeing or hearing. You have to mention it in your emails, on your socials, and, just like when you have a new album out, you ask your fans to buy the CD or to stream the album on Spotify. With tips, you have to ask to get those tips. Tell a story. Tell them why or how your generous tip will help me as an artist. Tell them, what am I working on and how much faster will that get done if I just had the funds? Look, most fans of independent artists love supporting the artists they love. So if you do it right, if you set up those various tipping options and then make a pitch, it could drive some incremental artist income. I can't say how much, and it may not be that much, but it's worth a shot because you never know. I hope you found this helpful. I look forward to seeing you next time.